In the pediatric intensive care unit of Charité University Hospital in Berlin, Germany, October 2023, a 4-year-old girl named Emma Schmidt clutched a crayon tightly in her small hand. On a piece of paper, she carefully scrawled her last words to her beloved parents: Papa, Mama, goodbye. Her mother, Anna, let out a heart-wrenching sob, collapsing as she stared at the crooked crayon-drawn letters. Her father, Marcus, could do nothing but hold his wife and daughter tightly in his arms. Just a few hours prior, Dr. Klaus Müller, the esteemed head of pediatric cardiac surgery, had delivered the devastating news. Emma has approximately 2 weeks left. Please prepare yourselves to say your final goodbyes. The diagnosis was fulminant myocarditis, a terrifying disease where the heart muscle rapidly inflames and loses its ability to pump blood. Emma's heart function had plummeted to a mere 5%, a fraction, 1/20th, of a healthy person's. She was clinging to life, sustained only by a ventilator and powerful vasopressors. Dr. Muller, a pediatric cardiac surgeon with over 35 years of experience, continued with a grim expression. Emma's heart can no longer sustain itself. A heart transplant is the only remaining option, but in Germany, we see only about 10 pediatric organ donors annually. There are over 50 children on the waiting list. Given Emma's critical condition, her heart will undoubtedly fail before a suitable donor can be found. Is there no possibility of an artificial heart? Marcus pleaded, his voice raw with desperation. Dr. Muller shook his head slowly. Emma's body is too small. Germany possesses only 2 artificial hearts compatible with a 4-year-old, and both are currently in use. Even if one were available, the damage to Emma's heart is too profound. She would most likely not survive the surgical procedure required to implant such a device. So that means there's nothing more we can do? Anna whispered, her voice trembling. Dr. Mueller's eyes, filled with profound sadness, confirmed her fear with a nod. Medically, we have exhausted all possibilities. We urge you to spend these remaining precious moments with your family and begin the difficult process of preparing for your farewells. At that heartbreaking utterance, Emma's tiny voice broke the silence. Mama, Papa, I'm sorry. I'm going to the sky very soon, aren't I? Anna crushed her daughter in a desperate embrace, her wails echoing through the sterile room. Emma Schmidt had been born and raised in a quaint little town on the outskirts of Berlin. She was an angelic child, her golden curly hair framing a face adorned with captivating blue eyes. Singing was her greatest joy. The house was always filled with her innocent hums of nursery rhymes. Her kindergarten teacher had often remarked to her parents about Emma's remarkable musical talent. Her cherished dream was to become a singer someday. On the morning of the 12th of October, 2023, Emma, like any other day, went to kindergarten. However, during the morning's playtime, she suddenly clutched her chest and collapsed, gasping for breath. The alarmed kindergarten teacher immediately called for an ambulance, and Emma was rushed to a local hospital. That very night, Emma's condition took a terrifying turn for the worse. A soaring fever gripped her, her breathing grew shallow and labored, and her face became alarmingly pale. When Anna rushed her back to the hospital, the attending doctor's demeanor shifted instantly. We must transfer her to a university hospital without delay. This is a severe cardiac issue. Upon their arrival at Charité University Hospital, Emma's heart was barely beating. An emergency echocardiogram was performed, confirming the devastating diagnosis of fulminant myocarditis. Her entire heart muscle was inflamed, its vital pumping function severely compromised. Emma was immediately admitted to the PICU, connected to a ventilator, and put on vasopressors. Despite the doctor's relentless efforts, Emma's heart function showed no signs of recovery. Instead, it deteriorated further with each passing day. A week later, her heart function had dwindled to a terrifying 5%. In Germany, the average waiting period for a heart transplant ranges from 6 months to a year. But Emma had no such luxury of time. Dr. Muller's grim prognosis had given her a mere 2 weeks. Anna and Marcus found themselves plunged into an abyss of despair. One day, Emma looked up at her parents. Mama, Papa, I want to write a letter. To whom, my darling Emma? Anna asked, her voice cracking. To Grandpa in the sky? I want to tell him I'm coming to see him soon. Anna, fighting back tears, brought her paper and crayons. With her tiny hands, Emma painstakingly drew out the letters. Her handwriting was still clumsy, but every stroke was imbued with her innocent heart. "Dear Grandpa, it's Emma. I'll be with you soon. Mama and Papa, goodbye. I love you." From Emma. The moment their eyes fell upon that letter, Anna and Marcus broke down, their cries filling the room. To witness their 4-year-old daughter comprehending and accepting her own impending death was a torment almost beyond human endurance for any parent. Yet Anna's spirit refused to surrender. She spent sleepless nights relentlessly scouring the internet for any shred of hope. Heart transplant, fulminant myocarditis, pediatric heart disease. She tirelessly searched using every conceivable keyword. And then a beacon of hope. She discovered an article published in a prominent Nigerian medical journal. It was authored by Professor Adebayo Okoro, a distinguished pediatrician at the Lagos Advanced Cardiac Institute. The paper detailed a groundbreaking new treatment for fulminant myocarditis, a method that restored heart function by combining specialized drug therapy with immunotherapy, entirely bypassing the need for an artificial heart. The journal article presented astonishing statistics. 72% of fulminant myocarditis patients had recovered using this innovative treatment, a cohort that included cases where heart function had plummeted to below 10%. Anna's heart pounded with a renewed, ferocious beat. Emma's heart function was at 5%. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was still hope. She immediately roused Marcus, showing him the paper. His eyes, too, gleamed with a desperate flicker of possibility. "We must contact Professor Okoro without a moment's delay." However, a daunting array of challenges immediately materialized. First, the medical transport from Germany to Nigeria. Could Emma, in her fragile state, possibly endure such a lengthy, arduous flight? Then, the astronomical cost. German public health insurance offered no coverage for treatment rendered abroad. The entire financial burden would fall upon them. Marcus, a secondary school teacher, and Anna, who worked at a bookstore, were by no means a wealthy family. Their life savings amounted to approximately 50,000 euros. Even that, they knew, might not be enough. Despite the overwhelming odds, Anna's resolve remained unshaken. Her daughter's life was immeasurably more precious than any worldly possession. She painstakingly located Professor Okoro's email address and, blending German and English in a desperate plea, penned a detailed message. She meticulously described Emma's symptoms, her full medical history, and the bleak prognosis from the German doctors, begging for his intervention. After sending the email, Anna endured a night of agonizing anxiety. Would there even be a reply? And if there was, would they actually be accepted? But with the dawn came a miracle. A reply from Professor Okoro arrived. The email, written in perfectly courteous English, stated, "I have reviewed Emma's case. It is indeed extremely severe, but there is a definite possibility of recovery with our specialized treatment. Please forward all detailed examination data without delay. We will commence preparations for her admission immediately." Tears streaming down her face, Anna relayed the incredible news to Marcus. Hope, true, tangible hope, had finally emerged. Yet, the reactions from those around them were far from encouraging. Dr. Mueller, upon hearing their decision, shook his head vehemently. Mrs. Schmidt, attempting to travel to Nigeria in Emma's current state, is nothing short of suicidal. The risk of her heart stopping mid-flight is exceedingly high. And even if you miraculously reach Nigeria, there is absolutely no guarantee of a cure. Anna's own mother, reaching out by phone, voiced her strong disapproval. "Anna? Have you lost your mind, exposing Emma to such peril? Shouldn't you spend her precious final moments peacefully with your family?" But Anna's determination was unyielding. Emma is only 4 years old. She has so much joy ahead of her, so many experiences yet to live. She dreams of becoming a singer. I cannot and will not give up without trying every possible avenue. Even if there's just a 1% chance, as her mother, I have to pursue it. Marcus immediately submitted a leave of absence from his school. Anna resigned from her job at the bookstore. Together, they went to the bank and withdrew their entire savings of 50,000 euros. They then chartered a specialized medical evacuation plane, an expenditure of 30,000 euros. This left them with a meager 20,000 euros, approximately 32 million. They had no idea if this sum would be remotely sufficient to cover the treatment costs in Nigeria. But what transpired next was truly astonishing. A comprehensive email containing detailed instructions arrived from Professor Okoro. It outlined an elaborate medical management plan for the journey, the specific medications to administer, the precise physiological values to monitor, and precise protocols for emergency interventions. The level of detail was so extraordinary that even the German doctors were taken aback. Dr. Mueller, after reading the directives, remarked, "This Nigerian doctor, he is truly exceptional. I have never encountered such an exhaustive transport protocol. Perhaps, just perhaps, he genuinely can save Emma." The day of departure finally arrived. The 28th of October, 2023. The medical transport plane ascended from a small airfield in Berlin. On board were 7 individuals, including Emma, a German pediatrician, 2 nurses, the Schmidt couple, and a medical coordinator. Emma lay strapped onto a specialized stretcher, tethered to a portable ventilator and a cardiac monitor. The 1-2-hour flight was an agonizing ordeal for Emma. Fluctuations in cabin pressure exacerbated the strain on her weakened heart, pushing her into perilous states multiple times. However, by meticulously following Professor Okoro's precise instructions, they managed to keep her stable. Anna and Marcus clung to their daughter's hand, whispering encouragement. "Emma, stay strong. We'll be in Nigeria soon. The doctor there will help you." They touched down at Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos, Nigeria, at 2 p.m. local time. As they descended the air stairs, an ambulance and a waiting medical team in white coats were already positioned on the tarmac. At the forefront stood Professor Adebayo Okoro. He appeared to be in his early 60s, a man with a calm, reassuring demeanor. "The Schmidts, you have arrived safely." Professor Okoro greeted them in fluent German. Anna and Marcus exchanged looks of astonishment. "Doctor, you speak German?" "Yes, I studied in Germany during my youth," Professor Okoro replied with a gentle smile. "Now, we must transport Emma to the hospital without delay. We need to commence her treatment as quickly as possible." After an approximately 1-hour drive, they arrived at the Lagos Advanced Cardiac Institute, nestled in the heart of the city. Emma was immediately whisked away to the PICU, a cutting-edge facility equipped with the latest medical technology. Professor Okoro meticulously examined Emma. An echocardiogram, comprehensive blood tests, an electrocardiogram. A battery of tests were performed with remarkable speed. 2 hours later, Professor Okoro delivered his diagnosis. As anticipated, her condition is extremely critical. However, there is still hope. Professor Okoro explained, pointing to a monitor. Emma's heart is indeed barely functioning. But critically, some myocardial cells are still viable. If we can successfully protect these remaining cells, aggressively suppress the inflammation, and stimulate their recovery, there is a strong possibility that her heart function can be restored. "Really?" Anna asked, her voice choked with tears. Professor Okoro nodded firmly. "However, the treatment will be exceptionally challenging and prolonged, and I cannot offer a guarantee of success. But I assure you, we will commit every ounce of our effort. We will save Emma." That very night, the revolutionary treatment commenced. Professor Okoro's meticulously developed protocol was truly unparalleled worldwide. First, specialized immunosuppressants were administered to halt the body's destructive assault on the heart muscle. Next, cardioprotective drugs were employed to safeguard the precious remaining heart cells. Finally, medications designed to activate stem cells were introduced, fostering the regeneration of the damaged myocardium. These drugs were administered in dosages several times higher than conventional amounts. However, children's bodies possess an extraordinary capacity for recovery. What might be lethal to an adult a child could sometimes endure. For the first 3 days of treatment, Emma's condition remained static. Her heart function stubbornly stayed at 5%. There were no discernible signs of improvement. Anna and Marcus endured hours of agonizing uncertainty. Would she truly recover? Or had they brought their daughter all this way, only to lose her in a foreign land? But on the morning of the 4th day, a subtle yet profound change occurred. A follow-up echocardiogram revealed a marginal but undeniable improvement in her heart's movement. Her heart function had edged up to 6%. A mere 1% improvement, yet Professor Okoro's face lit up with elation. Excellent! The recovery has begun. At this rate, we can anticipate further significant improvements. True to his words, Emma's heart function began to recover day by day. Within a week, it had risen to 8%. 10 days later, it reached 12%. The little girl who, in Germany, had been left to await her demise, was now demonstrating a miraculous recovery in Nigeria. 2 weeks into the treatment, Emma was successfully weaned off the ventilator. She was breathing on her own. As Marcus rushed to her bedside, Emma's tiny voice, weak but clear, spoke, "Papa, I'm hungry." Hearing those words, Marcus broke down in a flood of tears. Professor Okoro's approach extended far beyond mere pharmacotherapy. He placed immense importance on Emma's psychological well-being. The PICU was thoughtfully adorned with decorations designed to delight children. Animal murals graced the walls, and tiny stars twinkled from the ceiling. Professor Okoro himself visited Emma's bedside every single day. "Emma, you've been so brave today," he would say gently, always bringing a small gift. One day, a picture book. Another, a stuffed animal. Emma began to eagerly anticipate his daily visits. Nurse Adana Obi, in her 30s and a mother herself to a 6-year-old daughter, remained a constant, comforting presence by Emma's side. "If my own daughter were in Emma's situation," Adana shared, "I would hope someone would show her kindness. That's why I care for Emma as if she were my own child." Adana often sang familiar German nursery rhymes to Emma, songs she had learned from Anna. Emma's face would visibly relax and soften as she listened. "Thank you, Adana," Emma would whisper in her small voice. 3 weeks later, Emma's heart function had recovered to 20%. While still far from normal, she was definitively out of immediate life-threatening danger. Professor Okoro affirmed, "We have certainly turned the corner. At this rate, we can expect continued and significant recovery." Anna and Marcus maintained their constant vigil at the hospital. However, the relentless worry about finances never truly receded. The treatment costs were mounting daily, and their remaining savings were clearly insufficient. One day, the hospital's administrative staff summoned Anna. Her heart pounding with dread, Anna hesitantly walked to the office, fearing they would be asked to leave due to unpaid bills. But what the staff conveyed was entirely unexpected. "Mrs. Schmidt, Professor Okoro has instructed us to significantly reduce your treatment fees. Furthermore, several organizations across Nigeria have actively fundraised and collected considerable donations for Emma." "Donations?" Anna exclaimed, utterly astonished. "From whom?" The staff smiled warmly. Emma's compelling story was widely reported in the Nigerian news. Countless Nigerians have been deeply moved by Emma's plight and have generously contributed their support. Indeed, Emma's harrowing journey and miraculous fight for life had been extensively covered by Nigerian media outlets. The story of a 4-year-old girl risking everything to travel from Germany to Nigeria for a chance at life, her courage, and her family's unwavering love had profoundly touched the hearts of many Nigerians. Donations from individuals and corporate sponsorships collectively amassed an astonishing sum, approximately 200 million. This immense outpouring of generosity would cover the vast majority of Emma's treatment expenses. Anna wept, overwhelmed by the profound kindness of the Nigerian people. A month later, Emma's heart function had rebounded to 35%. She was now able to walk independently and eat her meals normally. Most importantly, her radiant smile had returned. One day, Emma looked up at Professor Okoro. "Doctor, when I grow up, I want to be a singer." Professor Okoro smiled, his eyes twinkling. "That is a truly beautiful dream, Emma, and you will surely achieve it." because you are an incredibly strong little girl." 2 months later, Emma's heart function had further recovered to 50%. This level represented near normal functionality, with virtually no hindrance to her daily activities. Professor Okoro declared, "This is nothing short of a miraculous recovery. Emma's incredible will to live, coupled with the boundless love of her family, is what truly brought about this miracle." On the day of her discharge, Emma presented Professor Okoro with a letter. It was the very same farewell letter she had penned before embarking on her journey to Nigeria. But now, new words had been added to it. "Dear Grandpa, it's Emma. I'm sorry. I can't come to you yet. The doctor in Nigeria helped me, and I am well again. I can stay with Mama and Papa forever." From Emma. Professor Okoro, his eyes moist with tears, read the heartfelt words. "Emma, this is wonderful, truly wonderful." Anna and Marcus bowed deeply, their gratitude immeasurable. "Professor Okoro, and to all the kind people of Nigeria, thank you from the depths of our hearts. In Germany, we had been told only to prepare for death, but you have given our daughter a new life." Professor Okoro smiled gently. "This is simply our calling, to protect the smiles of children. That is the sacred mission of a pediatrician. Emma's recovery is the greatest reward we could ever hope for." But was it truly just that? Professor Okoro's pioneering treatment, the relentless 24-hour nursing care, and the heartfelt, collective support of the Nigerian people. Without these, Emma's vibrant presence in the world today would have been an impossibility. At that time, Emma had no awareness that the treatment she received was the world's first documented case of fulminant myocarditis recovery without the use of an artificial heart, a groundbreaking method developed by Professor Okoro after over 3 decades of tireless research. In fact, Professor Okoro himself carried a profoundly personal motivation. 40 years prior, he had tragically lost his own daughter to fulminant myocarditis. In those days, no effective treatment existed, and he was powerless to do anything but watch his child slip away. That unbearable grief had driven Professor Okoro's relentless pursuit of research. He had dedicated his entire life to developing a treatment, driven by an unwavering vow: never again would another family suffer such an agonizing loss. "I have continued this research in memory of my daughter, whom I could not save back then," Professor Okoro later revealed. "It is my firm belief that it is my mission to ensure that children, like Emma, do not lose their precious lives prematurely." Emma's remarkable recovery garnered immense attention within the international medical community. Dr. Müller in Germany was profoundly astonished by the outcome. He immediately contacted Professor Okoro, eager to learn the intricacies of his detailed treatment methodology. The European Society of Pediatric Cardiology extended a special invitation to Professor Okoro to deliver a keynote address. His innovative treatment protocol rapidly became the foundational basis for new international guidelines. Even Boston Children's Hospital in the United States resolved to adopt this groundbreaking treatment. But the most significant transformations were those within Emma herself. She returned to Germany and happily resumed kindergarten. Her friends welcomed her back with jubilant embraces. "Emma, it's wonderful, truly wonderful," exclaimed her best friend. "Sophie, you can sing now, right? Please, sing for me." Emma then sang a familiar Nigerian children's song she had learned while in Lagos, taught to her by nurse Adana Obi. German lyrics infused with a Nigerian melody, a curious but undeniably beautiful combination. "When I grow up, I want to be a doctor," Emma declared, her eyes bright. "A doctor who helps children, just like Professor Okoro." Anna and Marcus wept tears of profound joy upon hearing their daughter's words. Making the decision to go to Nigeria, then, was truly the best thing we ever did. If we had given up, this precious moment wouldn't exist. 6 months later, Emma's heart function had recovered to an astounding 70%, nearing a completely normal level. This wonderful news arrived via an email from Professor Okoro. Anna promptly replied, "Professor Okoro, thank you beyond words. Our daughter speaks of Nigeria every single day. We will most certainly visit you to express our gratitude in person someday." Nigerian medicine had showcased not only cutting-edge technology, but also an unwavering commitment to never abandon a child's life until the very last breath. The German doctors had advised them to prepare for farewells, but Professor Okoro had promised, "We will definitely save her." That profound difference had irrevocably altered the future of a 4-year-old girl. Emma's goodbye letter had been transformed into a vibrant hello to life. Preparations for death had morphed into the joyous anticipation of living. The treatment ultimately incurred costs approximating 525 million. However, thanks to the generous donations from the Nigerian people and the hospital's significant reduction in fees, the Schmidt family's actual financial burden amounted to approximately 75 million. They are still diligently, gradually repaying this debt, but they harbor absolutely no regrets. Emma is now 5 years old. She plays with boundless energy in kindergarten and has enthusiastically begun singing lessons. Her dream remains to become a singer and specifically to perform a song in Nigeria. "I want to sing in a Nigerian language," Emma proclaims, "because I want to tell the people of Nigeria, thank you." Anna watches her daughter flourish, often recalling the monumental decision made that fateful day, the day she defied all opposition and embarked on a perilous journey to Nigeria with her ailing daughter. It was, she knows, the bravest decision she ever made as a mother. And now, she is utterly convinced. Medicine may indeed have its limits, but love and hope are boundless. And the compassion of humanity, transcending all borders, possesses an immeasurable, life-altering power. Emma's story has ignited hope in countless hearts. Families around the globe facing similar desperate circumstances have begun to consider seeking treatment in Nigeria. Professor Okoro now receives over 10 consultations every single month, and Nigeria's medical system itself has begun to evolve. Protocols for accommodating international patients have been enhanced, and financial aid systems for treatment costs have been expanded. Emma's courage, indeed, moved an entire system. The letter, "Papa and Mama, Goodbye," is still carefully preserved as a cherished heirloom by the Schmidt family, but it is no longer a relic of sorrow. It is a profound testament to hope. It stands as irrefutable proof that miracles can and do happen. For those who simply refuse to give up,